Yeah, thank you to all who are joining the groups. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you so much, guys, for joining in. So this is AWS Student Builder Group at JQuat. And yeah, we are here to learn about AWS and we are here to build on AWS. So we are having an online session right now. We had a launch 2 sessions back. So the first session, we learned about what basically it means to have a career in the cloud, how to take advantage of all the opportunities that are given us by the cloud, and also the best the best practices or the best choices to make as developers. So in our first event, we had 3 AWS community builders give us advice on how to uh, navigate our careers in the cloud, and also how to network, that we should take advantage of these learning opportunities to build and also to spend time in communities that we can learn easier than learning alone. Yeah, and on our second event, we learned how to set up a React website on AWS Amplify. So we were basically building in that event. It was a hands-on event by one of our speakers, Mark Orina. Yeah, and we got to learn so much about setting up AWS services, setting up AWS accounts, and building live. Yeah, now in this event, we are also going to be going the direction of hands-on learning. Yeah, and I'm really glad to welcome you guys to this official meeting. So as we begin, so I'm Jude Hunja and I'm the AWS Student Builder Group lead for JQuat. And I'd like Caroline to introduce herself as well. Welcome, Caroline. Caroline, when you can introduce yourself. So Caroline, you can introduce yourself. And also all the core team members present, you can introduce yourself. So starting with Caroline. Please introduce yourself. Okay, so Caroline, you can just introduce yourself briefly. Tell us your name and your role. Okay, we're proceeding. Caroline, if you could unmute and speak, that would be great.
Hi guys, mnanisikia?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Caroline Mweni, doing computer technology, and I'm the marketing lead. And one thing, can you follow our socials? Instagram, TikTok, and X, and LinkedIn. And happy to be here. And I hope you learn something at the end of the day.
Yeah, thank you, Caroline, for that. Hey, Marion, you can.
Hi everyone, my name is Marion and I am the tech lead, and welcome to the session.
Yeah, so you can start us off with the short session before we introduce our speaker of the day.
Hi everyone again. So before the main speaker takes us through the meeting, I'd like to start the session with icebreakers, and it will be in terms of questions and it will be brief, so bear with me. The first question is, let's say you are the lead engineer designing an AI that manages your university resources. And then you are told to make a choice in terms of allocating the resources. So when I say resources, I mean vitu kama laptops, maybe books, sources, reference, maybe it's the online articles and materials. So you are told to choose between two, and I would want for you guys to engage in the question and tell me what you'll choose. So the first option is the maximizer. It's where you design an AI that gives the best resources to the top 20% of the highest performing students. So you just have to rank the students, and then you allocate the resources based on how everyone is performing. The reason as to why this option is even to be considered, it's if the university wants to maximize their prestige. Of course, if you allocate the best resources to the top students, they'll have more knowledge, they'll be more equipped, and they'll be maybe, I don't know, maybe you'll have many first classes about applying in big businesses. Or the second one, it's you decide to allocate the AI resources to everyone equally, like mtu yote anaweza access. So which one would you choose? I hope nanisikia. Yeah,
Okay, the
so which
first
one?
choice is the maximizer.
Yeah, the maximizer one, where you allocate the top 20 students. And the second one is where you allocate it equally to everyone. Oh, someone is saying
Or
equally. Yeah. So you
or
guys,
some of this.
okay, I'll choose the second one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ah, okay. I think then the question would be obvious, the second one. But Nana Judah amesema the first one. So sijui. I think like okay. Okay, it's based on your preference, but I'll go with the second one because you never know. Maybe kuna mtu alianza ako very low, akaamua from all of a sudden amwe kwenda with whichever. Okay, maliza. As for the second question, kidogo. The second question is about group projects. So of course, like in university, tunaambiwa like tuingie into groups. So let's say you are in this dynamic, kuna option A. Unakuwa placed in a group with someone. Let's say it's a group of, okay, let's say you're a group of 5 people, but the ratio of 3 to 2, in which 3 wanna disappear until the submission day. But the positive side of it ni wanafanya kazi wana submit na wewe. Or will you go with the second one in which nyote mko hapo every day mna meet mnaongea but hakuna kitu inafanywa, so sijui ama hadi si hadi hakuna kitu inafanywa, you're the one like who has to do everything, like the discussion is there but at the end unajikuta wewe ndio unafanya kila kitu kusubmit. So which one would you choose? I think I'll go with the first one, honestly, because it's all about grades. So sijui.
Yeah, I think the first one inaweza bamba because the first one, yeah, you're not doing everything alone. Yeah, so the first one inaweza kuwa poa.
Yeah, inaweza kuwa poa. Alafu kuna another question. Let's say, is it either you asked you asked Chat GPT to answer every simple technical question you have with a 5-page dramatic story, or when you type in your, let's say, computer, ile si mnajuanga hizo stuff za autocomplete ama autocorrect. I guess mnajua autocomplete, like your keyboard ina assume what you wanted to write. Would you rather, okay, acha nirudie swali. Would you rather have like ChatGPT yenye inauliza a simple question inakupatia a long dramatic like answer, like hadi ujui what to pick from the answer, or will you rather have your phone autocomplete to the opposite of what you wanted? Let's say I wanted to write something in a autocomplete something opposite to what I wanted. So which one is better? I think huku ni choose between the lesser evil. So I think I'll go with autocomplete because Chat GPT, I feel like point ya mimi kufika Chat GPT, when do we use it? Let's say ndio mimi nifike point ya kuuliza chat a question, inamaanisha nimefika dead end.
Or
So
in
like
the
let's say
exam, those who use it in the exam room.
yeah,
Those who
imagine
use it.
so exam, you ask it a simple definition and then inakupatia a long drama. Sasa hujui utaandika nini. Heri tu nikuwe na autocomplete yangu. It seems like better because I can just write it. Ama what do you guys think? Tebu nione kwa chat mmeandika nini. Eh, no, I'm talking about digital options. Okay, I think like when creating this question, for the first option, I was expecting like umefika kwa dead end. Like hadi ukifikiria, yeah, like uko kwa exam room, una tense utapatwa. Okay, hadi sio lazima you are cheating. You have to
Maybe
no
you're
when
just
you're
referring. You're just referring. Yeah, you're not cheating. You're just referring to what you know.
yeah. But it's your choice. It's your choice. I think my last question is uh kidogo. I have a password one. I think you guys are like mnajua mambo na capture. I think when we get to interact with it inakwanga kwa website when you want to like kujoin website yoyote sijui kama ni zote but that's when you interact with capture and most of the time you're being told like to identify things although of late I'm seeing some propaganda around it but unaambiwa like you identify a bicycle maybe a bridge. So would you rather have 10 rounds of capture, like 10 rounds? Unaambiwa identify maybe the car, una-identify, again unaambiwa identify like 10 times. Or would you rather, like unaonanga vile mkiingia kwa, I think in most things you just have to log in. Like una log in, you require passwords, like it's so hectic. Okay, for me it's so hectic. So tuseme unaambiwa uweke password yako, maybe most of the time inakuanga na error, you have to reuse the same password everywhere. So would you rather have 10 rounds of capture or have your passwords auto expire and log you out every 15 minutes while active? So tuseme umeingia kwa ka website fulani, umelog in, after 10 minutes inakutoa tena rudi tena after 10 minutes inakutoa ama ukuwe na 10 rounds of capture ndio uingie kwa your website. So which one mnachagua gani? I think I'll just go with the first one. Oh, like sasa mnasema ya pili.
Capture,
think
shida ya capture bana inaweza unaweza fanya 10 rounds afu una fail. So unaenda kufanya 20 rounds. So capture is not a guarantee.
Besides for the second option, within those 10 minutes unaweza kuwa umemaliza what you are doing.
What if sijamaliza?
Anyway.
Naona kuna mtu ameagree na mimi 10 rounds of capture. I think my anger issues would never. Mi sijui. Siwezi. What if hujamaliza? I think that was my last question. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mario. We have enjoyed it. We have enjoyed your questions. Though some of our anger issues came to life. Hapo kwa the last question. 10 rounds of capture. Mi hata capture nikifanya, so for some reason nimekuwa nikipata capture the last 10 days. Nimekuwa nikipata capture mingi. So every time I get a capture in my Firefox, I open Chrome. Nikipata Chrome nafungua Brave until I don't get the capture. But sometimes iko in all browsers. So yeah, so I'm forced to do the capture. But it's not, singefanya kama, I will not do it. Not even in my best day, I will not do a capture. So thank you so much, Marion. So now I will now introduce our speaker. So our speaker is a founder. I don't know how many of you are founders. I don't know. How many are founders? Personally, I'm a founder. Acha niinue mkono. Yeah, I'm a founder. But you don't know what I'm founding. No one knows. I'm a secret founder. Yeah, I'm a secret founder. Any founders in the room? Any founders in the room? Founders in the room? Hakuna founders huku. Sawa. So nyi wote mnataka kuwa employed 9 to 5. Okay, ni sawa. Oh, Benedict. Benedict is open to work. Jeff is a founder. Of course, Jeff is a founder. One of our greatest founders. Piers is not a founder. And unakuwa founded. Oh, you're a founder. Okay. Kama wewe si founder, unakuwa founded in hizo companies. Yeah, so our speaker is a founder. And our speaker is also AWS certified. So our speaker is AWS certified. Our speaker is a founder. And our speaker has given talks in many areas, not limited, but including AWS Community Day Kenya 2025, amongst many, many more, including, AWS events in many, many universities, in many campuses, including KCA University. So our speaker is a founder at Remote Flow. And allow me to welcome our speaker, Gilbert Chris. Wow, welcome him. Yeah, welcome Gilbert Chris. Welcome.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Nice. Okay. So thank you for the warm welcome. My name is Gilbert Chris. I'm a founder, first of all. Secondly, I'm a Manchester United fan. This season yet. Thirdly, fun facts, I do like watching anime and cartoons. Yeah, so when I'm not busy being stressed by running a company, I do watch some few anime. So allow me to share my screen. So I hope you can see my screen anyway.
Yes, we can see your screen.
So yeah, today we are going to learn how to get out of your localhost. I also failed to mention that I'm a backend developer before I became a founder. Story 9 to 5 ilinichosha. So that's the way to go. So quick one. Who has done projects? Nani ako na project site? Iwe kwa localhost, kwa GitHub, ama kama iko live and people are using it. How many people? Let me see. So Jude, anyone else? Lillian. So who has hosted this? Nani amehost yake? Nyi wengine hamna hata kwa localhost. Ini ya computer hamna.
For me nilihost, alafu sijui kama Vercel ilikuwa hacked. Ile saa ya Vercel ilikuwa na issues, but I remember hosting.
Vercel had issues due ya secrets. So what you could have done is just rotate your keys. So personally, I do host my projects. I have similar projects that I do. One is a marketing agent, and the other one is what I founded called Remote Flow. So basically, we are trying to solve the PayPal issue. So if mmekuwa mkisikiza news ama if anyone is a remote worker ama msee wa gigs, what we usually was is you get a gig and the client pays you through PayPal. So after that, PayPal ilikuwa na a lot of issues, so I saw the opportunity, and that's what we do. So in our company, what we deal with is remittances, whereby if you have a gig, you can bill the client, send the client an invoice, then you'll be paid. And yeah, that's it. So with that, I host my backend through Railway. Does I hope mmeshai interact na Railway at one point ama mmesikia. And unfortunately, I also host my front end with the Marcel. So hata mimi nilikuwa affected. Yeah, so that's it. So today we'll learn about from backend code to cloud. So we'll see how you can migrate from your local host into setting up the cloud into the cloud way and making it visible for any your users or your customers to access it, and not just access it but access it securely, and isiwe na lag time na isiwe na securely. Basically, no one can hack it or send too many requests. So yeah. So what does a modern backend really look like? Okay. Backend basically is just APIs. Okay. It's not only local state K. I'm a local state 1000. It is a lot of things. From experience, backend is not just only crude. You have to do a lot of security in it. You have to do a lot of networking in it. There's a lot. Database is also there. There's a lot of going on that happens on the backend side. A good thing with the backend is that it rarely changes. So the same structure applies to every backend, depending whether not withholding the framework that you're using. So for example, I use Node.js as my backend framework, and the Fast API as my backend framework. I'm also, yeah. So the structure remains fairly the same. It doesn't change that much. A few tweaks here and there, because for a framework like Django, it usually comes with its own authentication and the admin side, which other frameworks don't. The good thing with Node.js is the community behind it. So there's a lot of NPMs, there's a lot of libraries. So it's very fairly easy, right? It doesn't crash most of the times. And it's straight up language, just like Python. Okay. So I know most of you are students. I hope I'm correct. I know that you have projects or you think of projects. And so with this era of AI, you can spin up anything within 10 minutes, okay? Be it your mother's restaurant, you spin up a restaurant booking page, do accounting with it, be it if your dad has a taxi business, it's fairly easy to sort things out, okay? Gone are the days that you needed skill to particularly code. You still need it because it is essential. But the skill gap has been greatly reduced. Anyone can spin up an app and it is working. The difference is for those who aren't IT guys, they may spin up an app, but it has so many potholes that it is easy to counter against. Okay, for example, if you're key on Twitter, you usually see there's a fellow called Calif Cairo another fellow called Mbiti Mondi. So Mbiti has an AI health app, basically about mental health, something like that. Caliph Cairo, as you know, he's into cars and spare parts. So what they do is they usually buy code, okay? But the workings, everything, as you will see, that sometimes code works only on your laptop. Once you ship it, things start to break, especially if you don't scale. So based on my experience, you can ship your code and it works perfectly. For example, my M-Pesa feature, it works perfectly on my machine. I can top up my account or my wallet and so on. Upon shipping, there were a few calls based on that feature not working, and people are really frustrated with it. So that goes to show that code works on your laptop because your laptop is like a server. It has the RAM, it has the ROM, the disk space, everything. So it acts as a server. Once uh, you push your code or you ship your code, you have to know how the security is undertaken. You have to know about your database. You have to know how your backend communicates with your front end, and so on and so on. And also the key one is you must never ship secrets. Okay, secrets should never be shipped. By secrets, I mean your API keys, something like your database URI for people who use MongoDB, your API key for people who use Postgres. If you interact with third party applications for you, for example, me, I interact with Ethereum and Solana for um, blockchain. So blockchain, you can have your you can you can ask for a client to remit you through the whole stablecoins and all that. So that party application requires an API key for that product to work, and I should never ship it to GitHub or to your server. Yeah. So you should always treat your API as a product with identity, just like how you treat your PIN. You see, vile mnaenda kwa matatu sasa mnazima mnaweka light chini ili mtu azione your messages wherever you are chatting with. That should be the same way you treat your API keys. Yeah. So again, why do we deploy on AWS? Let's be frank, AWS is not the only one that is there. We have also Google Cloud. We have independent companies like Railway and Vercel. We also have independent independent services like Oracle. Oracle is another good one, but today we are focusing on AWS. So why AWS? So for AWS, it gives student builders the same compute, data, and security primitives that real companies compose on production. So basically, if you go to, I hope everyone has an AWS console account. So if you go to the console account, you'll see the same services that real companies have, or real companies use in production. They also have, you also primitive to those services. Okay, you can build anything, and you're not limited. The only limitation is usually based on your tire. Okay, so if you are, I don't know if they removed it, but Kitambo, if you are to sign for the free tire, there are some services huku kwa unaweza kuaccess. I don't know if it's now, it's been long since I actually created another account, so I don't know, maybe they are removed. Secondly, it's very diverse, okay? It's scalable, it's very, very scalable. So for example, let me use remote flow as an example. When we started, we had like a single customer, okay? The traffic that was going in was a bit crazy because of all the marketing that we did. So everyone who was curious wanted to see what we were building and so on and so on. So the traffic was crazy. But when it comes to transactions, it was a bit slow. So it was overwhelming one part, especially the login part, but other features were not regularly used. Okay, so with that, there are services that AWS has that you can use to mitigate that. Services like we'll see, like load balancer, it balances the load. So by balancing the load, what I'm saying is, let's say we have remote flow as a company. The domain name is remoteflow.cc. Okay. If we are 20 of you from A to around Z, so those are 26 people. A to Z are 26 people. Okay. A will go to your Chrome or your Brave browser and type in remoteflow.cc. Okay. So does B, so does C, and so on and so on. After that, the user, now what the load balancer does is it sees a spike in request of trying to access the dashboard. Okay, so basically that's the login. So it will spin up some few servers, spread it across. So if one server has 5, the next server can use 5, the next server can use 5, the next server can use 5. That's what we call load balancing. Or if you are an electric guy, I think it's called load shedding. I think people from KPLC use the same particular terms. Okay. Again, the free tier plus global regions means that you can learn production thinking without needing a data center. Okay. AWS was one of the people who are very affected during the war. Again, these are things that we cannot predict. Okay. So during the war in the Middle East and between Iran and US, where Iran bombed several data centers, whatever. I actually had an issue with that. One of my clients, his database was hosted under that particular region. Now you can't access, so the whole data was lost. So once you deploy your database on AWS, those are the things that you can't predict. So you try and mitigate it through it. Okay. Also, you can choose when you want elasticity, managed database, and career shape skill that still fits a student budget. We also have AWS Restart. It's a free program whereby they train you and you can be more involved with AWS. So the resources are always there, Yeah. Up to there, anyone who has a point? Anyone who has a question? Sorry. Okay.
So I have a question. The region or the servers that were in the region that was affected by the war, I'm hearing they were bombed to oblivion. So the servers that had people's data, who is responsible for Like let's say you lose data that is, for example, you lose data. Let's say you have your own small university and you have stored all your students. They had an exam and then all the marks have been uploaded online to that server. So if all that data is lost, who is responsible for that data loss? Is it now the AWS or is it you who chose only to store all your data in one region?
So as a precaution, when dealing with the databases, the best advice to give you is be paranoid, okay? Anything can happen. For example, let me give you an example. Safaricom, there's a data center called Icolo. I think people have heard it. So that data center, for example, like remote flow can use it, okay? But maybe to host my services and whatever. But what happens when it gets blown up, okay? So that's the where the idea of backup comes in. So you backup, you make sure that you can back up everything. So like Safaricom has a data center. I think it uses a data center here in Red Hill, Limuru. Then there's a backup in Kisumu, and there's one backup in somewhere else. There are two backups. So if one gets blown up, in the event of war, there's also another backup. By backup, it means like in there's a service, a service called DPS. It takes snapshots. Okay, take snapshots of your service, and if anything is lost, it can recreate it. So that's basically what it does. In my case, or in the case of the Middle East being bombed, um, unfortunately, the backups are still in that region. Okay, so once it was bombed, everything went with it. So you need to start afresh. So that's where the mitigation arises. Okay, in this era of wars, never know, kesho unaweza amka unajikuta uko pale Busia unapigana na wa Uganda. So in the event of that, because Uganda also has missiles, we have missiles. So in the event of that, you have to navigate a way whereby you can have on-prem services and also cloud services. Or you can also make sure that there's a way you also back up your stuff, okay? So any data is also backed up, but at your own cost. Again, these are things that uh, we cannot predict, and these are things that are beyond our understanding or our control. So um, you can never really control it. Okay. Yeah. Any question? Right. I want to spin up my Docker desktop. So I want to know, like, has anyone ever interacted with the Docker? Other than Jude, let me see. Kennedy, Bethwell, Joseph. Yeah. So on your end, what does Docker do? On your end, like a small, you can write it in the chats, like something simple. Or on your understanding, what does Docker do? Or raise your hand. Okay. Packages your code. That's one way of putting it. Okay, so in simple terms, think of Docker. Think of let's put this: if we have remote flow, for example, there's several different departments. There's the accounting department, there's the IT department, there's the um, security department, cleaners, and what have you. So everyone needs to work in tandem, okay, with each other in sync. Okay, the IT departments need to work with the accounting. The accounting needs to work with the cleaners because the cleaners are cleaning the office and whatever. Okay, so there's usually a manager. So in this case, Docker is the manager. Okay, so it does all that. It packages everything and everyone into one simple image or container. Okay, so whatever, depending on what you have, let's say you have dependencies, you are using Nuvicon. If you are using for Python, you're using Node.js, the npm libraries. It packages everything so that if someone else wants to work on that particular uh, piece of code, it doesn't need to do much about it. Like, have you ever been in a scenario whereby unapata code, you have to do a lot of npm installs, hizo vitu zote, especially when you clone from from GitHub. Like, if you clone from someone's repository, it's very hectic. Okay, so Docker comes in and minimizes it. Okay, again, software developers are the most laziest people, so we look for the easiest solution. So Docker is an easy solution. That's why before AI we had cron jobs. Cron jobs ni ile you do like a job. A job ni if you're scheduling emails, okay. For example, you want to schedule emails. Emails should go out every 3 hours. So those emails, you schedule a cron job in a certain way that 3 hours ikipita and emails zinasonga. 3 hours ikipita emails zinasonga. So that was also hectic according to software developers. Now ikakuja AI. AI now is very autonomous, okay? Most of the things are very autonomous. All you need is to go to maybe Casa or anti-gravity, schedule something, or just create an agent, it will schedule for you. That's again, software developers are a bunch of lazy people, and this is the good lazy because we look for the easy way out. Okay. I don't know about you. Naweza sema nyinyi ni lazy. So yeah, the architecture that we'll be shipping tonight, basically will be a simple architecture. We just a single API. I created like a single API. Okay. It's a simple API. What it does is just checks the health and the okayness. Okay, two APIs. So what we'll do is the client will reach a public HTTPS endpoint. Note, it is not the HTTP endpoint because any client should ensure that any application should ensure that the client is always right, okay, and the client is always secure. So what is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS? HTTP is not secure. HTTPS has a SSL certificate attached to it. Watu wa networking ni ku make sure that hakuna msi anaweza simama hapo katikati between the client and the server and then achukue that information yako. Okay, so a good example is when you're doing online shopping. Okay, if the site is not secure, there is a good detail or there is a good chance that there's someone stealing your credentials. Okay, so unaweza kuta umepata tu message for those who have debit cards that your debit card has been used somewhere, or Equity is calling you confirming if you are the one who's using your debit card in Barbados, na wewe hata hujaipana tege, shangaa hey! And then unakuta ni help imechukuliwa yote. So that's where HTTP save us. Okay, not saying that it is very secure again, but you need to do more security on it. Okay, rate limiting, load balancing, and so on. Okay, or API gateways. The second one is the application runs on a managed compute services. Okay, unfortunately, okay, let me start here. There are several categories in AWSs. So kuna compute, kuna databases, kuna security, kuna networking, kuna containerization, as we'll see. Okay, so compute basically is what will run your application. Okay, by running your application ni kama what will run your code, or what hosts your code. Okay, in this example, we were supposed to use Aprana, but Aprana was disabled around April, May, June. It was disabled. So what we will use is ECS. ECS is Elastic Container Service. Okay, this is whereby you will host your image. Okay, then since this is a beginner course, we'll also use something called let me check the name, express mode. Okay, express mode ndo ilikuja what do we call it? It replaced Aprana. Yeah, so you can never SSH. Okay, the difference between ECS and Aprana was Aprana did everything for you. ECS, you have to do it yourself. Okay, you have to configure things, you have to manage the things there in the container service. Yeah, so it's very hands-on. This is for people who are very paranoid. If you're paranoid and you want everything hands-on, and you want to know what is what, that's what you will use. Okay, if when you say easy, you trust everything, easy going. Again, there is express mode. Yeah, there's express mode. Express mode was the one that replaced Aprana. Okay. The second is we'll use a managed database. So there are around three different databases in AWS. There's RDS, relational database. There's Aurora. It supports SQL databases such as Postgres, MySQL, MariaDB, Cassandra, and so whatever. And then there is what is this, the other one called that supports NoSQL. No, inanitoka. You write it in the chats.
DynamoDB.
Sorry?
DynamoDB.
Yeah, DynamoDB. It supports NoSQL. By NoSQL ni kumaanisha your data is basically like in JSON format. Okay. For those who have experienced or have an issue with, or like who have used MongoDB, the data is usually in like JSON format. Okay, so the data is stored like a in a file. So if like kuna users, so there's a user file. So that file, the way that file is, ikona a lot of JSON data. So you might find that it takes the ID, key and value. So ID and the number, name, your name when it comes to login, and first name, second name, telephone number, and so on and so on. That's how basically work. But in real life and when the time comes to get jobs, you'll find that most people don't use MongoDB. So MongoDB basically ni kaa wase wa Linux. A lot of people use Linux, but in the enterprise world, people use Windows. Okay. Na mtu aliniambia, there's a manager who told me Linux ni coursework. Linux ni hizi nini vitu za nini, what you do on the weekends. Okay. Other than that, you use Windows. So it's the same as DynamoDB or MongoDB. Okay. Yeah, but you can use it everywhere. Then there's a service called Secrets Manager. Again, I cannot emphasize more, like never ship your API keys. Never ever ship your API keys. Ukiship your API keys, kuna boys anajiita hapo Rufus sijui XT pale Twitter, anakuwa chonjo, anakuwa rada sana. Ata expose your API keys like the way he exposed, was it Betika? I think kuna service in, I think it was Betika, one of the gaming companies and one of the dating sites. So nakuta kijana akona data yote bana, from dating sites bana, anaweza kuamua kumulike. So if you are a cheating guy, hivyo ndo unaweza patikana. Yeah. So kindly never expose your secret keys, never expose your API keys. Use Secrets Manager. It's very secure. I've used it several times. It works. This is not partial to other cloud companies. They have a similar service. So if you are learning AWS and you have a Google background, you know, there's a service that handles the secrets. Okay. Alternatively, never ship them. Have it on your local computer. Again, it's not advisable to have it on your local computer because your local computer can be stolen. So save it somewhere. You can use Secrets Manager, save them, all of them. Yeah, and that's what. And then we'll use CloudWatch to collect logs and metrics, so you can see the errors before. Yeah. Basically, like CloudWatch is like the watchman at the gate. Okay. I'm like the prefect. Back in primary, there's always that prefect alikuwa mtiaji. He was just collecting noisemakers and what. So CloudWatch is basically the same. It collects the logs. It shows which particular API is being pinged at what time and by who, and also shows the metrics. Metrics ni kama what time and services ilikuja. So if you are using load balancer, when was the load high and when was the load low. So yeah. Unfortunately, my Docker is acting up. So what I'll do is I'll record separately, then send Jude the particular feed. I'll just record it, then tap it on YouTube, then send Jude the link. Okay. Up to there. Anyone who has a problem? Anyone who has a question? Yeah.
So how does ECS package your app now that Aprana is no longer in production?
Okay, ECS is the same as Aprana. Aprana was managed. It was managed by AWS. So basically, all you have to do is dump your image in Aprana, then everything works. Okay. ECS again vile nimesema ni for paranoid people, the people who want to hands-on services. Okay, let me see, as my Docker is starting up. Let me take you to the share. I hope you can see my screen. So this is it, okay?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay. So Aprana was basically something managed, okay? All you had to do was just dump it, dump your image. From then, it will reconstruct everything for you, set up the security, the load balancing, and so on and so on, okay? For ECS, you have to toggle with the settings, okay? This is the ECR container registry, okay? This is the ECS, yeah. So this is the ECS. What you have to do is basically just dump it. The ECS is a bit hands-on. By hands-on, what I mean is you can go here, you can choose your repository image. You need to create a new role, so maybe admin and so on and so on. The infrastructure role, then you go to the additional configuration, the cluster, the name, the container port, the health check path. So here is whereby you can have /health, and it's going on port 80, okay, or port 225, whatever. So for ECS is basically very hands-on. You need to be hands-on. So it's a nice way to explore if you are learning how to deploy a container on the ECS service. First of all, you need to dump the image on the ECR. The ECR is what we call Elastic Container Registry. This is basically like Docker. Okay. So once you make your Docker image, then you can deploy it. You can deploy it on the ECR. So after you created that, it will give you a URI that you can use to create. You can use on the ECS service. Yeah. Are you okay with that?
Yeah. Thank
Any
you
other
for
questions? If you're shy, you can use. Yeah. So go ahead, Joseph.
Hi, quick one. From your slides, we can't be able to follow it up from the way when you started launching the Docker and pushing to AWS. So that procedure is missing, and I am not able to follow it up. So will you share the materials after this session, because that's the part I was looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll add that process. I'll share it with Jude, then Jude can share it with you in your WhatsApp groups. Any other question? Even if you have a particular, so if you're shy, you can input in your, you can key in your questions in the chats. You'll see the chats. Oh, wow.
So
Kazi link. You're not Kenyan, okay.
yeah, so for example, I've never secured my app before. I've never secured my secrets before using Secrets Manager. How will I go about storing my credentials safely on Secrets Manager?
So again, if you use AWS, so if you want to use AWS in your code, okay. First of all, you need to install its CLI. The CLI will be like a gateway um, to logging you in and logging you out. Okay, so you need that. Next, you can install its library. After installing its library, then it's easier for you. So all you have to do is like you can, if you use Node.js, you can go to npm and search its library. Um, uh, but it's necessary for you to have its CLI. So the CLI will log you in. It will integrate with your ID if you use Casa, if you use VS Code, if you use anti-gravity. I don't think much about it. No, anti-gravity, it's not there. It doesn't support anti-gravity, so it's either Casa or the others. Okay, like in a PyCharm. Um, what it does, the CLI is just like an authenticator. Okay, it's easy for you. It's like a tunnel. Okay, tuseme umetoka like a bridge. Tuseme there's a highway and you want to cross to the other route. Okay, so that Mosira can't catch you. The CLI uses that tunnel to authenticate you. So you will use something like called an SSO login, single sign-on login, and you can get your credentials on the website, the console. Okay, you can use that to sign in. So with that, it creates like a single tunnel to you or to the application. So you can decide which services you want to use. Um, when you go further, you will also see like we use, there's a particular service, like we use code, infrastructure as code, Terraform. Yeah. We use Terraform to spin up services from multiple services. Again, when you get tired or when you get a chance to work with corporations, they don't normally use one particular cloud service. They use several. Okay. For example, company A might use Azure, Google Cloud, and AWS. So they use something called infrastructure as code, which is Terraform. Okay. There's also AWS has its own. I can't really remember its name, but Terraform is multi-cloud. Okay. It has that concept of multi-cloud, so you can spin up services using code, and it has its own syntax. So yeah, that's one way of doing it. So instead of, you see, like in how you refer to env, process.env, so you refer to process.secrets something. Yeah. Any more questions? I could have shown you a demo, but this demo heavily relies on Docker, and my Docker is misbehaving. So let's go on. What I'll do is I'll record a video, taking you step by step. I already have the code. It's a simple code. It's basically like 33 lines. Okay. It has an API for health, checking if the status is okay. It has an API for home, and so on and so on. Okay. Yeah.
Or could we have maybe a follow-up session where we just do purely the, so that everyone will follow along?
Okay.
If
Okay.
that's okay with you.
So, yeah, yeah, it will work. It will work within Saturday. Okay. Um, within this week, I'll be except Saturday. I'll be a bit busy. So any follow up within this week, okay?
What of next
Um,
week?
or next week, or probably next week, okay?
Okay.
So yeah, let's go on with to share. So just to give like a brief preview of what the demo was about, okay? So the demo basically was a simple API. We are just going to prove like the happy path with a local request. Then you can see it. We containerize the same service. We push the image. We deploy it to AWS ESR, that is the Elastic Container Registry. Then from there we get a URI. From the URI we can deploy it to ECS. The ECS will build the whole application logic, and we can also submit some other like load balancing and all those. Then we need to attach a managed database. We need to inject environment variables, such and we need to expose the URI to a public HTTPS. Like I've said earlier, it's very secure. Um, for those who are planning to build from here, um, you can use your student IDs. Okay, GitHub has a like a student package. Okay, and one of the basic like one of if you are able to enter into the student package, um, one of the perks is you get like a year free of any domain name that you can buy from name.com. Okay, name.com is a domain name registry. So when you buy a domain name, let's say judehunja.com, okay, so for your particular portfolio, uh, it also comes with an SSL certificate. Okay, so it turns your HTTP into HTTPS. If you don't want to attach a SSL certificate because it comes separately with the domain name, with an additional a few bucks, all you have to do is you can use like Vercel and so on. AWS also comes with it. Okay. Then we were to call the live endpoint together so you can watch the identical API answer the cloud instead from localhost. So that was basically it. That was basically what you are supposed to do. Unfortunately, again, Docker. Always make sure, guys, if you want to be a serious guy, like unlike me, nunua machine ambayo inaweza accommodate Docker. I don't know why yangu fuck it. Let's see if it is working. Hmm. Yeah, it's working. So, what we are trying to do is we already have the application. Okay. It's a basic application. All you are checking is health. Okay. After that, all you have to do is use get. Okay. The build failed. Yeah, Docker has a problem. My Docker has a problem. Oh yeah. We'll have a follow up. Then I'll show you the whole process. What do you mean by anime? Okay. Yeah, GitHub. Jude has given you the links. So yeah. Again, I've already spoken of this. Never commit access keys, rotate anything. So in the case of Jude, when Vercel was hacked, okay, when also GitHub was hacked very recently, a few days ago, GitHub was down. So that prompted Elon to have his own repository company called Origin. So I think if you want to work for SpaceX, you'll find all their code on Origin and not GitHub. You can also use GitLab. GitLab is affiliated to Google. So depending on where you are, okay. Yeah. So again, always rotate your keys. By rotating means every few days or every few weeks or every few months, you go to your third-party application that you want to use. Let's say MongoDB, okay? You recreate another URI, okay? I think there's a way to create another URI. Many applications have it, okay? So, for example, like Postgres. Postgres usually, no, not Postgres. What is this called? Supabase. Yeah, Supabase. Supabase has this way that you can rotate your key. By rotating your key is basically creating another API key, then using it instead of the older one. So with that, if anyone had access to your database using your API key, he won't have access anymore, okay? Also, make sure that there's also health checks, okay? Ensure there's always logs. You can always see logs anytime, anywhere. I can tell you for free that when it comes to online shipping your product to production, it will break. Like it's like a ritual. It will always break. No matter what you do, it will always break. So how do you mitigate that? You mitigate that using structured logs, okay? Once you have the logs, you don't wait for people to call you, okay? Assuming customers, that breaks trust because not all customers are vocal, okay? Some just, like I have said, there's one lady who has anger issues and maybe she doesn't want to talk loud about it. So she won't just call, she will just stop using your application. And that is one field, one customer that you have filled. And if you are interested in business, customer retention is very key. Okay. The logs tell you what breaks. The log shows everything. The logs is basically like a map to show every working. So during the follow-up, you will see what we talk about using CloudWatch. It will show you basically what we do using CloudWatch. CloudWatch will show you everything. Then, is there anyone who's interested in DevOps in your group? Who's online?
DevOps.
Yeah, DevOps. Is there anyone who's interested in DevOps as a
Yes,
career path?
Yes.
Yeah, good. So here is where you come in. Okay, you always ship through CI/CD pipelines. So your work will be basically creating pipelines for software developers to use. Um, you can use there's usually like this extension. So let me use my case. Okay, for remote flow we have three environments. Okay, we have the testing environment, then the stage environment, then the production environment. Okay, those were created through CI/CD. So if a particular front-end developer wants to ship, he must make sure first that everything works on the testing environment. Then it goes to the shipping, no, the stage environment. The stage environment makes sure that, let's say we are working like 6 people, okay? Um, 6 people push code like every 6 hours. Yeah. Okay, with AI now, every 2 hours, 6 people push code. And a day they push code like at least 6 times, okay? Um, there's also a reviewer. So you can set a reviewer with the CI/CD pipeline. In this example, it's me because I'm tech savvy, okay? Um, you have 3 people working on the front end, you have 3 people working on the back end. The guy number one who's working on the front end will test code maybe the login page. Okay. Guy number two on the front end will test the dashboard. Will work on the dashboard. Guy number three will work on something else on the front end. Okay. So once guy number one pushes his code and tests it on the environment, it will be taken. He will create something called a merge request in GitHub and a pull request on GitLab. Okay, so let's work with what we know. So we know GitHub. GitHub uses MR. Is it an MR or a PR? It's the same thing. Okay, merge request. The merge request is basically like a request, requesting the reviewer to merge between the environment and the stage. Okay. A CI/CD pipeline will come in handy whereby all security checks will be passed. Okay, making sure nothing breaks. A CI/CD also comes in handy to make sure that in the code there's no secrets or API keys in the code, okay? Especially in this era of AI. AI just writes what, again, we are told that AI writes boilerplate code. Boilerplate code is just surface code. So you need to dig deeper into that, okay? For example, what we have here is just boilerplate, okay? This is just common. So you need to add, let's say, for example, you need to add, let's say, checking. So I can add that. Let's slash checking. Checking. Yeah. So you can define that checking in as what does it need to check in? What are the credentials that are needed for you to check in? Okay. Let's go. So define it by using define checking. So in here, you can define check-in by doing a couple of things, and then once it does, it can return. It can either return okay if it has no, it can either return okay. This one. So let's rename this. Should return a message of okay if it has passed. Okay, if it's success. Success, else. Oh, yeah, something like that. So this is a whole new other API key. Okay. Oh no, sorry. This is a whole new other API that you've done. So this is just a simple one whereby we are just doing just a few errors. Okay. Yeah. Whereby we are just doing like a simple check-in. Yeah. So what that does, as we can go back here. Now, if I attach a particular API key with that, with the logic there, the CI/CD pipeline should make sure that everything is tested and is working. So, and make sure that the stage environment doesn't break. So once the CI/CD pipeline gives an okay alert, then you can finally merge into production. So that ensures that nothing the people push, because again, human is to error. Okay. Sometimes you're waking up in the middle of the night to work on a feature, and you're very tired, so you can make a lot of errors. Okay. Again, sometimes nini inakuzumbuanga, just a comma, like just a simple thing like a comma ikusumbua, and you decide just to push. The CI/CD pipeline won't allow that. Okay. So you can't even merge. You can't even create a merge request before clearing the CI/CD pipeline. So that's where the CI/CD pipeline uh, comes through in hand. So the people of DevOps, this is very critical. We will be creating pipelines all through. Okay. Again, since you're working with the AWS, you create the least privilege IAM. IAM is basically permissions. So once you log in into your AWS console, you have the option of logging in using your IAM credentials. Okay, what IAM credentials is, you if you're working on a company that uses AWS services, um, what there is there's usually like you're given your role. Okay, the admin creates a role, gives you the permission that you're working with. If you're not working on a particular startup like remote flow, we are not that yet established, and you're working on a nice startup like Safaricom. Safaricom uses AWS a lot. So let's say you're in the public sector department. They usually have a public sector department whereby anything public like Fuliza. No, not Fuliza. What's this called? The Star 2541. Nyota Fund. This usually have a connection with the government. What's it called? I think you can remind me. I think a lot of people took it, but they never paid it. It's usually star 54254. What is it called? Let me check. A minute. Hustler Fund. Yeah. So since Safaricom has been taxed with making sure that particular service is up, and they use AWS, they'll create the admin of that public sector will create what we call IAM roles. Okay, IAM roles, and if you're new, let's say Jude, you have been taken in as an intern at Safaricom, or you're working as a backend developer, you need to have a role with AWS, or you need access to AWS services, configure one or two things, then make sure it works as it should be. Yeah. Yeah, so that's basically it. Again, HTTPS is everywhere, and automated backups are the price of calling an app production ready. Like what Jude was asking, we were going to see how we were going to use RDS in our particular setup. Using RDS was basically like a managed relational database. Okay. What the differences between RDS and Aurora, because both of them use SQL, is this RDS is managed by AWS, so you don't need a lot of configuration. Aurora has a lot of configuration that you need on your end. Okay. By managed, we mean AWS takes care of it. Okay. So it's basically like what is it called? Lambda. Okay. Lambda is a managed server, like a serverless. It's managed serverless by what we call AWS. Any question up to there? Go ahead.
My question is already on the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me look. So what is the take on using Docker versus Podman versus Rancher desktop in terms of orchestration, merits and merits? Docker is widely used. It's like let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of my company and PayPal. Okay, people use PayPal. If it wasn't, no, let me give you an example. It's Safaricom, Airtel, and Telcom. Okay, there are people who use Safaricom. There are people who use Telcom. There are people who use Airtel. Okay, why do people choose Safaricom? It's because of the availability. They all perform the same functions, but the availability. Most of the companies use Docker because Docker at one point it was open source. Docker at one point it was open source, so a lot of people contributed until it was closed early on. So a lot of developers trust it. A lot of institutions trust it. If you go to companies that use legacy code, these are basically zile code za kitambo like PHP. You find a company using PHP, like the old PHP, and so on and so on. Like companies still use Java. Well, Java is okay, but again, so yeah, it all depends on what you want to achieve.
Okay, thanks for that. The reason why I'm asking this is because Docker is heavy on machines. That's why
Mhm.
I'm asking, and I was trying to find another alternative.
You can
That
use there's a lightweight application besides Docker. You can use its interface. There's a you see Docker is a UI based interface. Okay,
yeah.
there is a CLI based interface that you can use. It's
Mm.
much more simpler than using the whole Docker hub. Okay,
Okay, thanks.
yeah, it was created due to these resources. There's a CLI part based on it. So you activate using the CLI. Any other question? Yeah, Hustler Fund. Okay. Thank you, Jacob. Any other question? Okay. So let's continue. Um. So again, what should you build this week? Okay. Um. This was to come after we have done everything on the demo part. I'll ask you to uh, have it next week, okay? Then everything will be ready. Hoping I'll have to delete this and reinstall afresh. So I'll use the CLI. Um, we this week at least before next week comes, make sure you have at least used a few resources on AWS. And after using the resources, make sure that you delete them. Otherwise, you will have a very, very hefty bill. Like I was telling Jude, like on January this year, I paid like almost 6K, 6,000. And you know how Januaries are tough. I paid around 6,000 for some virtual machines that I left unattended to. So yeah, you must make sure that um, um, once you create a resource, you immediately um, delete it. Once you confirm that it is working and you're satisfied with everything, immediately delete it. I made that mistake. You will also make that mistake, and you will learn the hard way, unfortunately, and your pockets will be crying. Add one production habit. Okay, you have like emphasized. I would rather, because you're learning, I would rather you skip on the login, but never, 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 ever push secrets. Skip the login, skip the CI pipeline because it's something simple. Never push secrets, because if you push secrets, it will be thoroughly, thoroughly used. So a good example was the example of um, this guy on X. Okay, he usually scavenges for, and now with AI, it's very easy to write a script that scavenges for uh, code that attaches like an API. Okay, and necessarily it doesn't have to attach because there's something called like the JavaScript bundle or the front end. Uh, Basically what it does is like bundles the whole application, so there you can see one can pick your APIs. Okay, that's what he did, and he picked an API from a dating site, and he picked an API from a betting company. So if and he was able to know that, in fact, the the betting company had AWS services, so he was able to log in because on that JavaScript bundle, they had the session token, he had the SSO login, the single sign-on login, he had everything. So he can gain access to the AWS. He can spin up the virtual machines that he wants and then attach it to its application, and you will be using for free. So every day, like every month, you will be finding you have used like a virtual machine and you have never spinned up virtual machine. So you wonder why you being billed $5,000 for virtual machine. Yeah. So these are some of the cases that again you have to be very very careful. Okay. So I expect you that one of these you don't have to use, never push like a secret key or an API key. Okay, then the next thing will be sharing your you can share on your group what you have built. Okay. Let's say there's a you have built a restaurant, uh, dinner something, registration something, or yeah, booking, like a restaurant booking application. Okay. Maybe your dad or mom has a restaurant and people just come and book, like how they do it on the West in US and UK. Okay, you book a restaurant, you go and have dinner, and once your time ups, that particular table becomes vacant. So you can share the public, the URL public, and make sure it is it has an HTTPS, meaning it's very secure on the group, on your student builder group that Jude has. And again, I encourage you to build in public because that's how you will be scouted. I can assure you that most people who are built in public have jobs now. And in this tech space, in this era of AI, there are not a lot of jobs. Unfortunately, that's the truth. And you need to do something extra. So building in public helps you. Okay. Ask for help, ask for mentors, build in public, that helps. Share what you're building, even it is very minute. A lot of startups, like for example, like Casa was acquired by SpaceX for Elon for 60 billion. And you know, like they started like as an email company, basically just writing your email using AI. So what they did is they iterated from the get-go. They formed a client. They asked what they iterated. Then they became an AI, the first AI-powered IDE. Then they continued iterating it, continued until now it was acquired for 60 billion. So among I think there are 5 founders. Each guy has around 2.5 billion. And you know, that's cash. That's not debt. Everyone is given cash. So each bank account is reading $2.5 billion. So you see. So again, always build in public. Uh, ensure that you take criticism well. Okay. If you get some guy called how is he called? Nutcase. That guy voices his opinion very loudly. Okay. So you may feel intimidated, but take it in good faith. Okay. That's one of the ways that you can continue to grow. Okay. The last will be if a step blocks you, ask the community again. The community is everywhere, is always there. There's a wide community of AWS. You can ask Jude, you can ask me, you can DM me on LinkedIn, you can DM me on Instagram. on X. Yeah. If there's an issue, you don't understand this part, you can always DM me. Okay. Yeah. So these are basically my socials. LinkedIn, I'm Gilbert Chris. My particular startup is remoteflow.cc. At X, I'm known as Alberto31, and on GitHub as Gilbert Kamau. Any questions as we wrap it up? How can I join Honest? I think you, yeah.
Yeah, the
Join.
link is there. Yes.
So Fuse, you can join the link, then you can join AWS. Is it AWS Student Builders JQuat? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing Fuse, you're in JQuat, so that's the nearest one. Okay. There's also user groups. So there's a user group called Pwani user group. So if your home area is in Pwani, you can join that user group. It's normally chaired by a guy called Jacob Moracha. It's very forthcoming, and you can DM him. Okay. So you're not in JQuad. So are you in university? Which university are you in? Use as he writes. As he writes, you can also ask any other questions or clarifications on where you didn't understand.
Yeah. So anyone with a question or a concern?
Okay.
Okay. If there's no other question, or Piers, yes, I think you can join. Yeah, you can join the group, and then you can tag one of the admins. Yeah, you can tag one of the admins. I don't think Mamangina has a student builder group, so, or rather you can, yeah, you can join the AWS user group Kenya. Yeah, but you can text me here on this number, Piers, so that we can work on starting a group for your university, since it does not already exist, or maybe it does. I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah. So thank you so much to our speaker, Gilbert Chris. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, sharing your content. It was amazing. Yeah, you answered all the questions in a very content deep way. Yeah, it was full of content, not shallow like the AI boilerplate code, but it was a deep one. Yeah, so we really liked the talk. Yeah, and I'd like to welcome Caroline to give a brief, just in less than 5 minutes, a summary of what we have done. And yeah, so welcome, Caroline. So as we are waiting for,
Yeah, Joseph.
Yeah, quick question. I hope the video will be shared, the recording and also the materials as we proceed, or will it be shared under the WhatsApp group?
yeah, the recording will be shared under the WhatsApp group. Also, the resources used, the slides, will be shared
Yeah.
under the WhatsApp group. So I hope you have joined.
Oh yeah, sure. Thanks.
Okay, Joseph, you're welcome. Yeah, so as we wait, as Caroline takes us through the summary, I'll share a link to give a review of this meetup. So the link in the chat, survey, please fill in the feedback form so that we know how we have performed or how Gilbert has performed in this talk. So you can share your feedback there. In case you have not signed into AWS Builder Center, you can use the QR code to join the AWS Builder Center. So AWS Builder Center has so many resources that you can use to build. So if it's your first time building, you can use the resources or the blogs at the AWS Builder Center and build your first application on AWS, and also so that you are not plagued by what Gilbert Chris said, that some of you may lose your money. Hopefully no one here will lose their money. Yeah, so that you don't lose your money, go and learn from the people who have built on AWS and have published their blogs on AWS Builder Center. So you can use that QR code to join AWS Builder Center. And please fill the survey link that is in the chat. So please fill the survey link that is in the chat. So as you're filling the survey link, the name of the student builder group, I've put it in the chat. You can just paste it there. And for the event name is also there in the chat. So from backend code to cloud, building and deploying production ready apps on AWS. So that is the event name. So name of the student builder group, AWS SBG at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. And the name of the event is there in the chat, from code to cloud. Yeah, and the date is today. The type of event, it's an online event. Yeah, if it's your first event, you can just indicate there on the link.
Hi, Jude. Can you just repeat again the procedure? I've already logged in.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on the under name of event. Name of event we put.
Okay, so for name of the event is the one from backend code to cloud. You can copy it from the chat.
Okay. Yeah.
The name of the student builder group, I hope you have written the first one. AWS SBG at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology.
That's the name, eh?
Yeah, that's the name of the student builder group.
Oh.
Name of the event
Mm-hmm.
is just the second one, from backend code to cloud.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. The event date is, you can just click on that calendar that is there, and then you put today's date. And the event is an online event. What did you learn at this event? You can share. Maybe you learned that you will lose money. Hopefully no one here will lose money on AWS. Like our speaker lost 6K, unfortunately. Yeah, but he's now earning even more. So yeah, sometimes you have to learn so that you can now, you have to break things as you're building. Yeah. So yeah, let us all be filling the form. If you have filled the form, you can write there in the chat, I have filled. You can write there in the chat, I have filled, or say filled, or I feel I had already filled. Yeah, so please type hapo kwa chat kama umeshajaza the form. Okay, thank you so much, Joseph. Yeah, anyone else who has finished? I need someone else who has finished filling the form. Yeah, so I need more people. Please, let's fill the form.
Where is the form?
Oh, no, not $6,000. It's just Kenya shillings. Dollars now ingekuwa mbaya. Oh, yeah, let's fill the form.
Where is the form?
The link is there. I hope you can see the link. Yeah, that link there. And then the name of the student builder group is there in the chat. AWS SBG at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. And the event name is From Backend Code to Cloud, Building and Deploying Production-Ready Apps on AWS. So yeah, I need 5 more people to fill it. So please, kama umejaza, you can just indicate there. You are done. Yeah, so the event name is the event name is From Backend Code to Cloud, Building and Deploying Production-Ready Apps on AWS. The name of the student builder group is AWS Student Builder Group at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. I'm seeing some. Oh, Steven, thank you so much. Yeah, 3 more people. 3 more. 3 more people. Let's fill the form. If in case you haven't signed in to AWS Builder Center, you can sign in via the QR code. And if you have already signed in, the link to the survey is there on the chat. So 3 more people. So let us fill the form. I'm waiting for more people. Two more people.
Name of event.
Name of event is from backend code to cloud. Let me paste it there. Yeah, from backend code to cloud, building and deploying production-ready apps on AWS. Yeah, so the name of the student builder group is there also on the chat. Okay, thank you, Sempa. So Caroline, you can give us the summary of just a brief summary of what you have learned today.
Hi guys. Naskika.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So our today's session was from back-end code to cloud, and we started with understanding what modern backend is. After we did how to deploy the backend on AWS and the advantages of deploying your code on AWS. And we went to deploying from localhost to live, and there were 4 steps. 1, we start with working backend on your machine and prove the happy path, the local request you can see. 2, we containerize the same service, push the image and deploy it onto AWS compute without rewriting the business logic. 3, we attach and manage database, inject environment values, and expose a public HTTPS URL for the room to hit. And the last one, we call the live endpoint together, so you watch the identical API answer from the cloud instead of localhost. And the habits that make production ready. And my take was never commit access keys and rotate anything that has already appeared in a screenshot for a chat. And maybe you learned a different thing from mine, but it's okay. And we have some tasks to do after we see the demo. And I request people to share their projects, the group, and we build on public so that we may help each other. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Caroline, for that amazing recap. Yeah, so we'll be having a follow-up session next week. So make sure you're following us on all our socials on the link that has been shared in the chat. So that has our links to all our YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram, X. So all our socials are available there. You can follow us. Yeah, and I hope to see you guys next week as we build now hands-on, as we are guided by our speaker, Gilbert Chris. So thank you so much, guys, for joining in. Yeah, if you have not filled the form, the link is there. So please make sure that you have filled the form and join us on all our socials using the link tree that I have shared on the chat. Yeah, so as we continue building, exploit the value that is in AWS Builder Center by scanning the QR code. Yeah, and you'll be able to see many other blogs from other people who have built their mistakes, what you can learn, how you can improve as a developer. And also, you can also share your own blogs and your posts there. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining. Hope to see you guys next week. Good night, everyone, and bye-bye.